أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولفظ الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وارزقنا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم وجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه آمين 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 أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, Allah has brought us together again for our verse for iftar. And today, inshallah, we're going to be looking at the ayahs in Surah Baqarah. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ وَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Seek God's help through patience and prayer, though this is hard, except for those who are humble. Those assured that they will meet their Lord and that to Him they shall return. And so this ayah, if you remember at the last ayah we were speaking on the verse in Surah Fatiha, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. And there we had the petitioning, the plea of Allah that you alone we seek, you alone we worship, and you alone, Iyyaka nasta'in, and you alone we seek in aid, we seek in support and help. And if you look here in Surah, the verse in Surah Baqarah, we're being given this command of wasta'inu, and seek help. Now, from the means of how we get the help of Allah is what is being said in this ayah. Wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah. Seek God's help through patience, or say steadfastness, and prayer. A point that's worth noting is the ayah doesn't mention specifically what you are seeking patience for, the actual thing. The actual thing is not mentioned. It just says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ. Just seek God's help through steadfastness, through patience and prayer. So what the ayah is, and the Quran does this quite a lot actually. It doesn't specify, okay, where the actual thing that's being referred to is not being specified. It's being left open, and part of the wisdom in that is so that it refers in the generality to anything that entails us needing to hold to patience and to be steadfast. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, and give good tidings to the steadfast, those who are what are those actual tidings? The Quran doesn't specify, and the reason for that, like we said, is so that it gives us this infinite possibility of what are the good tidings. It's open to a host of possibility and interpretations. And here, where we're being commanded to wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah, we're being commanded to be patient and steadfast. It doesn't say and be patient when facing a something of immense vicissitude or trial or a loss, and what we would often readily understand as being the more greater trials while we're in this world. I mean, the whole dunya is baliya. I mean, this is how we understand the Quran and how it speaks about the world. The world is a trial, it's a tribulation, and it's here to test all of humanity, and it's to test the believers, from whom will be the most excellent in action. Asana amala, who will do the best actions. And that's how we look at the dunya. The dunya is it's all a test, and it's a test that's trying to bring from us the best amal, the best actions we can do. And to do that, it does require what? Being steadfast. It requires us being patient. So the dunya inherently necessarily requires us to engage with it to be successful in the hereafter, is that we engage with it to be patient, in a patient manner, in a steadfast manner. And therefore Allah is saying, seek that steadfastness, seek that patience, because now that patience has a purpose. And that purpose is that by being steadfast, by being patient, you are inshallah drawing close to Allah. As Allah says, Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Indeed, Allah is with those who are patient. And therefore, when we're saying Iyaka nasta'een, if you remember, we mentioned that last time when we were speaking about the verse of Surah Fatiha. We're seeking Allah to give us aid and help also, so that we are meaningfully understanding how we are to be patient and to be steadfast. Because we understand that in this act of patience and being steadfast is the most pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also it is to remind us that with Him is the whole affair. With Him is all of the matter. And that by surrendering ourselves to Him in this way, inshallah, it allows for us to then not just be humble, but it allows for us to find some form of contentment and tranquility. Hence, the the coupling of that steadfastness and that patience that we are seeking to hold on to and have a resolve with is coupled with the action of salah. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَبِالصَّلَاةِ. And so the act of praying, also serves in informing us in how to remain steadfast, because it's such a meaningful act. In the prayer, when we do it with the consciousness of how we should try to pray and reflect upon the meanings of what we're praying. I mean, the Fatiha we have, but then the surah, the verses that we read following Al-Fatiha is anywhere from the Quran, and all of the Quran is just such an immense reminder. So when we're reading in the eyes, إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, when they are afflicted with a trial, yes, what do they respond? قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, indeed to Allah, indeed we are for Allah, and to Allah we belong. And so the act of salah is one that will ask us to recite the book of Allah, and the book of Allah, inshallah, done with an understanding, we can see how it will inform us in ways of remind us of the importance of being steadfast, of being patient, and the meaning that we get from that. And that allows us to hopefully come to a place of surrender, a place of letting go, a place of feeling at ease, because we have given our affair to the one who controls all affairs, right? And hence the ayah goes on to say, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And indeed, this is hard. It says, as it says, though this is hard, except for who? عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. So that's the other thing that we must remind ourselves, that we try and engage in the prayer and the quality and the virtue of patience through this very central quality of humility, of being humble. And that is what allows us to then be recipients of what is the meaning of the prayer, and that meaning of the prayer to feed us, to allow us to have that expansiveness, to be patient and to be steadfast in what we are in this world, in this dunya. The Prophet ﷺ said in a beautiful hadith from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, and this is a hadith in this different narrations to it. In one narration it says, "Ma min shay'in yusibul mu'min." There's not a thing that afflicts a believer. And in another narration is "Ma yusibul muslim," and there's not a thing that afflicts or trials a Muslim. Min nasabin, and nasab is fatigue, toil, when you're just tired. There's not anything that afflicts a Muslim by way of nasab, by way of fatigue, by way of tiredness. Wala wasab is illness, a marad, any type of illness. Wala hammin, right? And hum is anxieties, Wala hazan, and hazan is sorrow, grief. So anxieties for the future, sorrows for things that have happened in the past. Wala adhan, or nor a harm, any type of harm, that one may be afflicted by, the slightest of harm. Wala ghammin, and and then the Prophet said, "Wala ghammin, wala min ghammin." Even sorrow, in the most the most the minimal or the slightest amount of sorrow. حتى الشوكة يشاكها إلا كفر الله بها من خطاياه. Then the Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, he said, even the shawka, even the pricking, of the slightest thing, a thorn, like the slightest prick of the thorn, it entails an expiation from Allah for the Muslim's wrongs, min khatayahu, you know. And you look at this one hadith, and it just gives you every possible scenario of what could be discomforting, and that being responded to in with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's expiating, of our wrongs. And this is something that is for us as believers to engage and understand. And hence, when we are needing to exercise and practice steadfastness, patience, we are we are in the process of all of those meanings coming forth, the meanings of being of receiving an expiation for whatever wrongs and whatever sins we have done. So this ayah, and that's why if you look at the following ayah after this, it really underscores the whole reason of why we're here, and that is preparing to go back to Allah. And that's why it says, when the ayah that follows it says, الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ. And those assured, is yudhunnuna here means actually they are certain. It doesn't mean that they're they're kind of believe it, they've got an opinion about it. No, here's alladhina yudhunnuna, is there, and they are certain, annahum mulaqu rabbihim, and they are certain that they are going to meet their Lord, wa annahum ilayhi raji'un, and to him they are going to, and to him is their return. And this is this is just to remind us that while we're in Ramadan, already more than half of it's gone, and we have these blessed days, ayam and ma'dudat, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to it. These are numbered days. The whole of Ramadan is referred to as numbered days. And we really, inshallah, we've been benefiting from this month as much as we can. And even if we haven't, we still have time to. That is such the generosity of this month. You've got, while we're in this month, there's just an abundance of opportunity for us to benefit ourselves from this khair that Allah extends to His servants. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give us the ability and the tawfiq to be of those who establish this month in the way that we're hearing and we're being reminded about, and we take from this month, the things that inshallah help us grow forward as better than when we started this month. Like we're saying, this ayah, wasta'inu bis sabri was salah, seek the assistance through patience and prayer. When Abdullah ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu, he was informed about the passing of his brother Kuthum, Quthum ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu, and I believe he's buried in Uzbekistan. Quthum, I believe so. Ibn Abbas himself radhiyallahu anhu is buried in Taif. In any case, he was on a horse when he received the news of his. He was on his horse when he received the news of his brother's passing, Quthum, and he was actually en route. Ibn Abbas, this is, he dismounted. He dismounted. He did wudu. He prayed 2 rak'ahs, and he basically, some say, and he went into sajda, right? He prayed and he offered, and they asked, some asked him, what did you just do? And he just said, فَعَلْنَا مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. We just did what Allah commands us to do. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, right? And, it's something that we notice this of many of the great people and people of examples of who we look at on how to enrich our lives to be believers that are, abound in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find so many narratives of, these great people passing away in sajda, like Abdullah ibn Abi Sa'ad ibn Abi Sarah radhiyallahu anhu. Abdullah ibn Sa'ad ibn Abi Sarah radiallahu anhu, he's a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a brother to Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan through suckling. I mean, there's a real interesting stories about him, but he passes away between saying the salam in the prayer. It's taslimatain, mata bayna taslimatain. So he said, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And by the time he got to the, that's where Allah had written his khitam, had written his return. You know, I mean, these are the things that should make us just, subhanallah. Amir ibn Abdullah ibn Zubair, he's one of the great, tabi'in. He's from the sons of Zubair ibn al-Awwam, right? Amir, and he used to make himself present, for the prayer, for the congregational prayer. And even when he was really at a point of where they said that was it, he was at the point where he was in his final moments, and he heard the adhan, and he got support. He got support to get to the prayer. فَيُقِيمُونَهُ مَعَ الْإِمَامِ. And he stood in the Maghrib prayer, and they said that when he went into the ruku', that was when Allah had written for his soul to return. I mean, subhanallah. Mujahid, the great Quran master, he passes away in sajda. Mujahid, many of you have hopefully heard of him. He's one of the great Quran commentators. His passing away is in sajda. Salama ibn Dinar, another great tabi, passed away in sajda. Ibn Hajj al-Maliki, he's a great scholar. Ibn Hajj, he has this wonderful work called Madkhal. He was actually killed in a tyrannic, through the most in a tyrannical way. He was killed, and he was killed, but he died. His end was in sajda and Yawm al-Jum'ah. And even like Sayyidina Umar, we know that he was in Fajr prayer. He was actually, he was in sajda when he was afflicted. So there's so many of the great A'imma, that we know of. And more recently, there's Shaykh Abdul Aziz Ayun Asud from Hims. He was the master of the Quran. I mean, when we say master, he passed away in 1979, if I'm right. And he knew all the 10 qira'at, and he's a major imam of Syria, major imam when it came to the qira'at. Shaykh Abdul Aziz Ayun Asud, radiallahu anhu, rahimahullah. And he was like, he had many great teachers, and he brought the Quran to Syria and the asanid of the riwayat, of the qira'at. He's a major imam in doing that. And his end is in sajda, in tahajjud. He does his ablution, and he's in night prayer, and that's how he passes away. So, alhamdulillah, we know that we're fasting, and we have these subhanallah, these opportunities in Ramadan to focus on our ibadah, and we should do that as much as we can. But equally, I just want to say finally is this, that look, don't we say these examples of these people who obviously their lives give us a reflection of being so absorbed in worshipping Allah, as well as doing their daily duties. Let's be clear, they were functioning people. They were like working and providing. And yes, it's a time foregone now. Our lives are so different. We're so much more, being pulled this way and that way. We all know what it means, living in this time, and how demanding it is. And we shouldn't beat ourselves up about that either. I mean, the point I think we want to take from this is where Allah puts us in a situation in the times where He knows best. And as long as we're trying to inform ourselves in this Ramadan as much as we can, in the moments we can, to be in worship with Him, inshallah, that registers as well as what it had registered for these great people before us. And there is no right to hope in Allah in as much as we can, because He is, the most generous, and He knows the situations He's put us in. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in the remainder of this Ramadan, that we inshallah really enhance our practice, and we learn to we try to really go a bit more than what we've already been doing. And if you haven't been doing much, don't worry, just get on it. Don't worry, don't overthink. Don't think, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. Don't just start doing something and then build upon it. End Ramadan better than how you started. And that doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you started it well. Look at ending it better than how you started it. May Allah give us all tawfiq. and jazakumullah khair. May you support everybody that's also raising, for their respective causes. There's so many causes, we know that, and they're all worthy of our attention. We have the Fountain and the Prophetic Hub. We have Wilaya doing their 40,000 pound appeal for every year, and that's to just get things functioning. So please, where you can, it doesn't matter, £2, £3, £5, whatever you can. We don't know what barakah Allah's put in those small givings, and it's inshallah it all register heavy for us in our scales on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Jazakallah khair, and I hope you remember us all in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.